entertain a motion to open the meeting. Second. We'll begin the meeting, do in regular form. Okay, we'll begin the meeting with public forum. Public forum is an opportunity for any student or faculty member to address the Senate on issues they might have. Is there anybody present for public forum? Anybody else? Okay, so we'll first allow Dean Ken Nielsen to speak. You have 5 minutes. So we'll be
I don't need that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to come and just deliver a message. Following the last meeting 2 weeks ago, there was a report made to my office, not directly to me, but someone else, about conversations that went on from the floor of the Senate. And those conversations are conversations or comments made by individuals while in the role of senator about an organization that you disagree with based on your personal, political, social, religious views. I would ask that you remember that you're here as a senator representing other students at a larger body, and that your role is to make sure that the interests of the student body and the university are represented, not your personal interest. As an effort, the university is trying to do more in the next year, couple years going forward, to really focus on creating an inclusive community and dealing with diversity issues, dealing with differences that are in our general population nationwide somewhat seen as underrepresented on our campus. And as we go about the business of the Senate, we would ask that you think about your words and your ideas. Do they, in fact, represent your constituents, or are they your words? You may use those words and say things that you disagree with, but please do it as an individual, not as an elected official. So the issue really for the Student Life Office is that we're open to the conversations. If you disagree, if you don't support something, please come have it with our staff. I'm sure others in this body would like to have those conversations one-on-one. But what we're asking you to do is follow the guidelines of budgeting. Clearly, in there, it states that you're out looking for the best interests of the students, the whole student population, and the university at whole. Are there any questions? It's just a matter of reminding you all that...
We don't entertain questions.
Perfect. Come see me in my office, see anyone on my staff. We would love to have the conversation. If you disagree or have concerns about funding organizations' purposes or organizations' interest for doing programs. All right? Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good day.
All right. So if any senator would like to bring up any of those points made during discussion, feel free to do so once we begin the discussion portion of the meeting. We'll continue again with public forum. Mr. Skursky, just stand and introduce yourself, and then you have 5 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name is Alex Skursky. I'm here representing the Climbing and Mountaineering Club here at Stevens, and I would be happy to address any concerns you may have with our fall budget. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other members of the student body or faculty here to address the Senate in terms of public forum? Go ahead.
I'm Austin again. I'm here for sailing. We have an actual budget this time.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I'm Karen Clements. I'm here with the archery team. I'm here to answer any questions for our additional funding request.
Anybody else here at public forum who'd like to make their presence known? Seeing none, we'll continue with the agenda. We'll move to Speaker of the Senate report. So this is the last Senate meeting of this iteration of the 100th Senate. I'm sure there were 100 Senates before this. That's always been an issue of ours, is keeping track of how many Senates there's been.
It's been the 100th Senate for
Are we the actual 100th? Yeah.
Who knows?
So my 100th Senate, this is the end of it. At the end of this meeting, we'll close and I'll open a second meeting, which will be the first meeting of the 101st Senate after we verify the election results. And we'll have a speaker election for a new speaker. So we'll open up nominations again in that meeting. So if you haven't been nominated yet, or if you didn't see your name on the nomination form, we will allow new nominations at that point. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, I have had an incredible experience getting to serve as your elected speaker and representing the Senate in cabinet issues and discussions on campus. It's definitely put me out of my comfort zone in a little bit of a sense. A lot of responsibility, a lot of rules that I never really took the time to learn before becoming the speaker. So I've had a really great time getting to do this. I thank you for giving me the opportunity, putting up with all my garbage, and those of you keeping me on track. I also just want to make a comment that this is also Dave's last night serving as our parliamentarian. He'll also be graduating with me in May. So 24 days. 24 days, yeah. So I hope you guys noticed the performance increase we had as a Senate by replacing our parliamentarian and moving to someone who understood Robert's rules a lot better. It turned the way we ran our meetings around, it turned the order around. And because Dave doesn't get a chance to speak in the meeting, I'd like to cede my report time to him if he'd like to say any words, being that this is like me.
Thank you for trusting me when I just showed up to the meeting last fall. I guess that's it.
Please give a round of applause for Dave. So with that, I'll finish my last Speaker of the Senate report, and I'll hand it to the Cabinet now, to the President. Vice President report, is there any report in our absence? No report. We'll move now to the Chairperson of the Committee on Student Interests.
So is that an email before? I don't know if it went out, but properly. I need new subcommittee heads or the same one. So if you are interested in being a subcommittee head again next semester, and you are one, let me know. If you're interested in becoming one, and you're not one, then also let me know. So just keep that in your mind.
Treasurer report.
All right, so we've got a lot of stuff for tonight. When we go through each of the different budgets, you guys can ask me what the budget for that particular period is. It'll be easier to remember that way. And in addition to everything that's on the docket, there were several more requests that came in that aren't on the docket that you might want to consider bringing up during discussion, including a summer budget for Feel Good, a request for the summer retreat money for the SGA, and requests for additional funding from the Stevens Investment Club. And if you have any other questions, just ask me.
Could we have those distributed to the Senate?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, prior to that, because then they'll make their decision if they want to bring it up or not.
Okay.
All right, seeing that, we'll move now to the Secretary report.
I just wanted to say sorry for the confusion for the docket and the format this week, and then new senders, I'll send you guys an email with the Roberts rules and everything. And thanks to Dave, but I just wanted to say thanks to Dad.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We'll move now to committee reports. Academic affairs. So this is my last academic affairs update. Before I became speaker, this was my thing. I don't know if those of you who were here before I was the academic affairs committee chairman. It wasn't really that structured or anything, and luckily I was able to bring the SFA in to make it a lot better. Next year, hopefully one of the senators, Vinny, Matt, right? That's pretty much our academic affairs committee. Senator Sanders, one of those two will be taking over my position. To give update, we have one last event coming up. It's going to be incredible. Student Faculty Appreciation Barbecue, Friday, May 2nd on Davis Lawn. Tell all your friends. We'll send an email probably tomorrow, Tuesday, let you know. Pros pays for it. Big barbecue. We're going to give out stuff probably again, hopefully. And we'll also be awarding the trophy and plaque for the winner of the SFA Bowling League. So if you're a participant in that and want to find out who won, who got top individual score and team, we'll be awarding that at that date. Matt, do you have any update on that? You want to give anything else?
It'll be announced Friday.
Friday. All right, so it's going to be good. Definitely come and invite your faculty to come. Bring a faculty member to lunch that day, because that's the point of the barbecue, is to give you guys an opportunity to show your appreciation to the faculty that have helped you all year long with your classes and stuff. So definitely keep that in mind. We'll continue now with committee reports to accountability. John?
No report as of right now.
We'll continue now to campus life. Is there a report in her absence? Seeing none, we'll continue now with constitutional bylaws. Tyler? That's fine.
Yeah, we met right before this to go over the various constitutions that are on the docket today. Specifically, the HSP is Hispanic, right? Hispanic professional. Yeah. The SHPE Constitution is very non-controversial, just a couple officer positions. So that'll be voting on later. Michael and I met during our committee meeting and looked over the other constitutions, and we do not think that the MedLife or the Young Americans Delivery constitutions are in a state ready for approval, I guess. They need some serious amendments. If the Senate wants to discuss them or bring them up in motion, we can feel free to, but those two are probably not ready to go. But the SHP one is, and as far as Habitat for Humanity is concerned, we're just where we left off last week. Yeah.
I will allow it.
What was the club?
Which one?
The HSP? I think you're thinking.
SHPE.
Okay, SHP. Yeah, that's the Society of Hispanic Empires.
Okay, that's what I thought. I can never remember.
Neither can I.
But that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you so much. Public relations, Matt. Speaker committee, Emily.
Okay, I met with Mrs. Speak and started kind of brainstorming ideas for possible speakers. He's going to use the same contact that we use for Mythbusters and talk with him, but the person he really like, or that the guy who's contacting is kind of pushing is George C.K. They said they can get it down to like about $10,000 under our budget, so I don't know if anyone like recognizes the name. I guess my concern is like I recognize his face, but I didn't know the name. If anyone has any opinions on it, or would like to join the speaker committee because there's currently no one on it.
We can, guys, we'll bring it back up during discussion if we'd like. Yeah. And if necessary, I am from the internet, as stated in previous meetings, so I can't clarify who he is. I have to be from the internet for most of it. All right, we'll continue now. Tailgate committee, Mark.
All right, so still going through a very rough semester with tailgates. We gotta look out for an email. As soon as Restaurant Rogers tells me which teams made Empire 8s and like will have home games that he wants tailgates at, we reach out to the clubs that are all just sitting by on standby because that's just the way he wanted to do it this semester. So there should be one either Friday or Saturday this week, and I will keep everybody up to date as soon as I am.
Okay, so seeing that at the end of committee reports, we'll continue now to Committee on Student Interest Subcommittee reports, Ethics Student Council.
No report.
Professional societies, is there any report in his absence? Seeing none, we'll continue. Media Board. Special Interest Council.
The investment club has a couple of additional funding requests that I guess are coming up today. What is the question? What is the date for the deadline before something can be put on the docket?
That Thursday night, Thursday afternoon.
Okay, so because both of these additional funding requests were sent on April 18th.
Yes, and the issue was that I contacted them with questions because they filed it under the wrong budgeting period, and I wasn't sure if they were asking for funds now or for funds in the fall. I got confused, and I tried to have them, and I didn't hear back from them until after Thursday.
Gotcha. That's all.
Continue now with Club Sports Council. Where is she? She's not here. No? Report absence? Okay. Arts and music.
This week there's a performance of Elon, Shadowcast. I don't know what that is. It's like acting out a show like while it's being projected. It's on Wednesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Yes. Yeah. So check that out.
Thank you. We'll move now to recreation.
Archery has an additional funding request, and I have Kevin explain that the club is growing and all their equipment is being worn out, and the archery team doesn't want them to use their equipment anymore. Cam and yeah.
All right. So before we move to old business, I just want to clarify there are a number of subcommittee representatives and committee representatives who are seniors and will be graduating and unable to fulfill their duties next year, or will not be senators for the next Senate. To clarify, and I'm sure Dave of the Cabinet will correct me if I'm wrong, you're allowed to hold one of these committees and not be a senator. That's totally allowed?
Depends on the committee.
Depends on the committee, okay. So in most cases, that's 100% allowed. So if you are a senator now who holds one of these positions and won't be holding it next year, or next Senate, you're allowed to continue holding your committee for most part, case-by-case basis. So if you are interested in continuing to hold your position, let that be known to the cabinet and the Senate, because that's something they can totally be okay with. A lot of you guys have performed very well this year, so there's no reason for you not to be able to continue representing your organization if you're not a senator. But also in that case, the new senators in the back of the room who haven't taken their positions yet, keep in mind that there will be some positions open, so start thinking about the ones you might want to help fill. All right, we'll move now to old business. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the April 13th meeting.
So moved. Second.
We have a second. And here they are. So these are the budget meeting minutes, so they're a little bit longer, so I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm not going to take that first motion. I think we should scroll through a little bit more than just a page of it. So we'll just go through attendance, set in stone reports. Old business, and then the budgets. All right. They were this crazy. All right. It's only 7 pages, which is pretty respectable, I think, for the type of meeting we had. So if anybody has any objections, Sean, what do you first?
Honestly, I have some colors.
Continue discussion on the minutes. And with that, we're on the last page. Items on the table, which we left. Do we have a representative from Habitat here? Did we follow through on that?
I requested it, I talked to, I emailed her, but she never got back to me.
Okay.
I also emailed Young Man.
Well, when you guys bring it up, have that for clarification then. They did not follow through on that. Other questions with the minutes? Devon? All right, so we have a second on that. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the minutes from the April 13th Senate meeting, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. We'll continue with the agenda. Okay, we'll move now to new business. You guys can proceed however you'd like. If you want to do constitutions and stuff first, or go to the budgets, however you feel. I'll entertain any of the motions. Mark.
Can I motion to take the CAM budget off the table since that wasn't money?
You can just bring it up for discussion. So, okay. Do we have a second as that?
No, he's correct.
Taking it off the table.
Yeah.
Bring it from the table.
Do we have a second? Okay.
So now we're going motion.
There it is.
Oh, no, we need a majority.
And here it is. What is there? Are you okay?
We need a majority to take it from the table.
Just ask if there's any objections.
Are there any objections to taking the budget from the table? Seeing none, we'll continue with the item. How can I do this without Dave? I really couldn't. Couldn't have made this happen. So we'll continue now with the CAM budget. As it's now stated, $5,170. The discussion reason why it was tabled was because of the ticket prices and discussion around that, just to refresh your memories. Mark, you were the person who opened the item, so you can speak first.
Yeah, I'm personally not 100% sure why or what the exact thing in clarification was, but if anybody does remember, let's get it clarified and then move on.
So the cabinet and the senator can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was because we were wondering at how the price broke down per ticket in case there was an issue or a direction to cut the ticket amount if we had to do in certain intervals. Really kind of trivial discussion point, but that's where we were at. So, Matt.
Well, I think we were concerned that it was like a 30-event event.
With that, Tyler.
Yeah, so like what happened was we were discussing about how it was a large number of events, and then we were trying to cut some of it. But because of the issue with we weren't sure how the ticket prices went, that led to we weren't sure how to cut it.
Continued discussion. So it's open for approval now. So when you guys move through discussion, we'll approve the budget for the next semester. So make cuts if you want to make them in this motion. Reba, and then we'll do Danielle.
I talked to Cam this week and they explained why they would need this many events, so can I ask Alex to clarify why, this many events is?
I'll allow Alex to clarify that request.
Okay, so as the Climbing Mountaineering Club, we try to run as many events as possible. Now, I understand that there is some sort of guideline about 5 events per semester. I think that's unrealistic in our case in that we try to run a lot of events with anywhere from like 5 to 15 people per, so that we can get as many people out climbing as possible. So the goal is more small trips rather than big trips, which are generally unrealistic, being that we need to transport people back and forth.
With that clarification, we'll continue the discussion. Reba, would you like to add anything else? Danielle? Continue discussion.
Can I motion to approve that?
Motion to previous question.
Move to previous question.
We have a first, we have a second. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the CAM fall budget as it now currently stands, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We'll continue with the agenda. I'll entertain any of the motions on the table. Kay, your hand was up before. Do you want to bring one up? No? Continue discussion. Anybody? Sean?
Summer budgets weren't on the agenda. What? Well, I know, but the motion's not on the, so actually approving was on the dockets.
That was supposed to be on the docket, but I doubt there'll be any objections to us bringing it up. So when someone wants to bring it up, we can bring up summer. I would suggest we continue with the stuff that's left over from the fall before we do the summer then. Just personally, I would prefer that. But you are the Senate, so we can continue. Would you like to make a motion, or can I move on?
No, go ahead.
Mark?
Point of clarification, you are the Senate too, Mayor. The motion to approve Chip's new constitution. Should be.
Not all the time. This particular instance, yes. Okay, so would constitutional bodies like to speak on any changes that have come up?
Yeah, I mean, the changes are mostly near the bottom of this document. They just added 2 new officers and split the duties of some of the officers onto those officers. So you can see they like cut out some duties of some officers, they fixed the typo on external relations officer, and then down below they added in officers.
As committee representative, do you have any suggestions or feedback to their changes that you would like the Senate to be clear on?
It's pretty standard, they just wanted to add more officers. There's nothing wrong with it.
Continue discussion, then we'll go to Sean.
Move previous question. Second.
All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the SHIP, SHPE, Constitution as it now stands, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We'll continue now with the agenda. Mark?
Since I know we can't really discuss, so I'll make the motion to approve the Young Americans for Liberty Constitution, just to kind of hear, I didn't understand what was wrong with it.
Tyler? Does the committee have clarification?
What was it saying?
Second.
Okay, so yeah, we went over this, we looked over it very more carefully in the committee meeting just before this. Overall, there are a lot of sort of things where either the Constitution is very vague and it doesn't really specify, like, there are a lot of things that aren't necessarily disallowed, but I don't think the club realizes that it's not really a good idea to have this. So like, as a quick example, they have a qualification that...
If you just want to pull out the article, I'll scroll through it.
Yeah, I don't even have, I need to find the article that is in first. Article 4. So, not 4, 6. Like dyslexic. Article 6 specifies that the legislative branch is composed of members who have attended at least 3 meetings in the current semester, and the legislative branch is tasked with the power of amending their constitution. So essentially what that means is that until the club has had 3 meetings, they can't amend their constitution because the legislative branch doesn't exist. Because the requirement is that they've attended 3 meetings in the current semester, so until they've had 3 meetings, there's no one who's attended 3 meetings in the current semester. So until their fourth meeting, if they ever wanted to make a constitution change, they can't. Some other things that we found, let me see. One of the more worrying things is their judicial branch, which is in Article 7. It's basically 3 Supreme Justices, 3 in total, one of which is selected by the President and approved by the legislative branch. And the 3 justices are allowed to overturn any motion with a majority vote, which means that basically 2 people can overturn any motion that the club passes. Moving on further, they're also just one of the clear things of why we can't approve it is they're missing the clause that we usually require in their constitution for amendments, that the SGA has to approve any further amendments to their constitution, which is in Article 9.
All right. So, I guess to summarize, you see major concerns in the circular constitution. Can I ask how far off from the requested constitution template are they? The one that we provide?
They basically wrote their own constitution, basically.
So they
This is like they made a 3-branch government within the club. It's really
We'll move the discussion on this since the motion's open. Danielle?
Why are these, like you've said before, like why are these constitutions on the docket if they're not like ready or not?
Well, it was
The
reviewed.
thing is, we haven't looked them over yet, so we put them on the docket just in case they were good, because if they were good, then we could vote on them and approve them. But so for the committee just reviewed them right before this meeting. And if there was a chance this constitution was good, but it wasn't on the docket, then we probably couldn't vote on it until next semester. So it was just sort of like a safeguard, just in case they were good, we could put it through.
I think
So-
what he's getting at, he wanted them on the docket.
Yeah, just in
and-
case.
Yeah.
So motion to table until.
Actually, I would suggest that you turn this one down, so it goes back to committee for review.
Or the same thing.
Okay.
Move
So,
to the next question.
all those in favor of the free discussion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We have a lot of discussion, I think. Is that all right? Senate doesn't object to that? Okay. All those in favor of approving the Young Americans for Liberty Constitution, please say aye. All those opposed? Motion does not pass. So continue with meetings.
Do we have to bring up everything on the document?
No, you can just table stuff if you want, yeah.
So we can just skip the other constitution and he doesn't.
Well, if Tyler makes the motion, he's more welcome to do that. Tyler?
Well, I'm not going to.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree that we should, unless someone specifically wants to bring it up in a motion, the deadline still needs to review.
So that's the opinion of the Constitution Laws Committee, we do not?
Yeah.
All right, can someone motion, I'll entertain a motion to table that.
Why don't we just never move it?
Or just never move it, we can just leave it there? All right, parliamentarian says it's fine. We're gonna go Sean, then the Vaughn, and the line.
Can I move to entertain the summer 2014 budget request?
If we have a second, I would recommend that we do the fall, finish the spring first, I mean. The fall. I recommend that we finish the fall first, before we go to summer. But unless we have a second, then someone wants to do that. Okay, Anna.
Motion to approve archery club's additional funding request.
Second.
Okay. So we have a second, and would you like to speak on his behalf since you opened it?
No.
No. All right, do we have any clarification more from the committee representative, Reba?
Can I ask the rep to clarify?
I'll allow it.
Oh, just clarify why.
Yeah.
Okay,
explain it.
so up until recently, we've been allowed to use the athletic department basic beginner level bows, but this causes a lot of wear and tear, and they don't want us to use them anymore. And so we only have the 10 bows now that we approved just, I think, 2 years ago. And our club is very large, especially in the beginning of the semester. We get a lot of interest, but then we only have 10 bows, so we can only have 10 people shooting at any one time, which means if 50 people show up to a meeting, which has happened on several first or second meetings of each semester, we'll have 50 people show up. We'll have to split them into 2 groups of 25 and have them rotate around 3 people per bow. And it makes a lot of people lose interest because they show up and they're sitting around more than they're getting to actually do any archery. So we need this equipment to help us maintain the interest of our members and to provide for their desires in the club.
All right. Can I ask for clarification from the cabinet? This is for fall, spring, summer? Where does this additional funding request fall into?
Right now, because it was additional funding, I guess it currently would be coming out of this semester's budget.
Well, we would allot it to them for this semester. If they spent it before the rollover window, then it would be allowed for the semester.
Yeah, so the issue is if it's approved now, we give them the funds now, it has to come out of money that we have from this semester, because we haven't collected the student activity fee for the summer or fall yet. And we only have a balance of $36,300 for this semester. So that causes the issue because, also to note, we also have another request that would technically fall in this range right now from the link, which is asking for money to purchase for the yearbook, yeah, and that's for like $36,000 or $37,000.
So the clarification he's trying to make is that right now we have about 50 grand in initial funding requests for the spring semester on the docket, and we only have about 30 grand for this current semester in our savings. So that's discussion for the cabinet. It's as open as it is. I'm going to go to Mark, then Mike, then Danielle, then Tyler, then Vinny. Mark?
I guess the first thing is to clarify that the link is for this semester, because all their budgets said 2015, so they're referring to, like on the budget it says for April and May and all that 2015, so it's
Yes, I can clarify. So what happened was when the link submitted for the spring semester, for this semester, they forgot to ask for money to cover the production costs for the yearbook. The way it works is they split their costs in half. They ask for money for this spring to pay for the production costs that go on over the summer, and then they collect more money in the fall to pay for the rest of the stuff that had been produced over the summer. So because they forgot to do it in their spring 2014 budget, they need the money now, and the money is due this coming summer.
So those are typos in the budget.
Yeah, I believe so. Because the idea is that they're due this summer for the yearbook in 2015.
Just to be clear, because it says 2015, they meant to say 2014?
I think they moved for the 2015 yearbook. I can't be positive.
But the thing is, it says due April 2015, so like, if they, like it's saying that they don't need it.
It seems like it would be part of their fall budget request that they forgot. More so.
Yeah, the motion is the archery. I mean, it's valid discussion though, because this, right now, we're assuming that that request has to come out of the same amount of money. So that makes it a little different. But we are in discussion on the archery budget. Seeing that your turn is now over, we'll go to Mike and then Danielle. Danielle?
The same kind of question, I guess, too, is, do you need these for this semester, or can you wait for them for the fall?
We need them like first thing in the fall.
Okay, so you wanna.
Yeah, so we wanna get it in place ahead of time.
Can I ask a question too, I guess, whatever, and if it was requested for like the fall, can you get like a P card, and when can you order stuff using the fall budget?
Pretty early on.
Over the
I can't tell you the exact time.
Can you get it over the summer?
Yeah, you can do it over summer.
No, for the fall?
There's a date, but it happens before the semester starts.
Usually the money for fall budgets is put into the account either the week before or the first week of the process. Or at least that's what it was done for the spring.
I would ask you the classification.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time we did a large purchase like this for a club, it was a sailing club, and we made them wait to the next semester to get the funds, unfortunately, because it was just so late in the semester and it was just easy for us that way. But that should continue discussion. Next was Tyler. Do you have anything to add, Tyler?
Yeah, I just think the main point is like, if the link actually needs their money this summer, then that should probably be prioritized. If not, then it would be perfectly fine to have this one in this semester. So I think we should establish whether or not the link actually needs their money. Because if they do need the money, there's nothing that we can really do about it. They need to publish the year.
Vinny, your turn.
No.
All right, continue discussion. Anybody else? Mark?
So yeah, on this motion, you mentioned about how you get like 40, 50 people at the first meeting. How about, I know you said the club is larger than obviously the 10 votes you have, but like, how much would you say is a consistent amount? Just because my thinking is that if we cater to that amount, and then just on those bigger meetings is when you have maybe 2 people on a vote instead of buying. Because you're asking for 26 more votes. The way I calculated it, so that would be 36 total. It seems like you're catering to the 1 or 2 meetings you get at those numbers.
Well, the main reason we lose members from the first meeting to the second is because they show up and we're not able to accommodate them. So I would predict if we were able to accommodate, we'd probably be able to have at least 30 or 40 people consistently showing up.
Can I ask for clarification from the organization? Where do you store your boats currently?
Currently, they're in a locker in the basement of the gym. If you go to the ATC, there's 2 locked doors between the storage. It's where.
And your executive board are the only people who have access to that, or does?
The master key for those lockers is the front desk, and then the athletics department has the other key for that locker. It's the same locker used by the archery class because it's so conveniently right.
But your bows are separate from theirs.
Yes, they're separate use.
Okay, that's good clarification for storage. Continued discussion. Supposed to make sure everyone speaks before I go for the second time. Anybody else? Tyler.
So I'm just wondering a question of, it's, the majority of this budget is under the new bows for advanced shooters. Is this mainly for bows that wouldn't be used by students that would be coming in the fall, or?
Block application.
So the cost of the bows increases quite quickly from the basic ones. So the majority number of bows is the more basic shooters, more basic bows for new shooters. But we have several advanced members who have been coming after those first few meetings for several years, and they would definitely be able to benefit from these newer shooters. That's 10 or 15 at least consistent good shooters that can use them.
Continue discussion, Sean.
So, how would you feel if we put off the advanced, I guess question for the representative. How would you feel if we currently denied the advanced bows but approved the others for now, just for, I guess, for purchase of this?
Continued discussion. Anybody else? I'll go to John.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was talking to Carrick about this earlier, and he seemed to think that I don't know, maybe you can clarify on this. He seemed to think that the club would be able to get a lot more out of cutting the compound bows. I don't know. What do you think?
Continue clarification to the organization representative.
There are 2 types of bow. There's recurve and compound, and currently we have no compound bows, which means a lot of people come and say, oh, can we shoot compound, and we can't do that. So that we would be able to retain members who are interested in just compound, and we can do compounds. We'd also be able to entertain the large numbers of recurve shooters we get.
Okay, so you would like to see both types and then that be advanced?
The basic recurve and the compound.
Okay, all right, cool.
Anybody else? I'll go to Tyler. This would be third time. Sean. What?
I just have a question.
You're gonna make a motion? Yeah. Sean, Tyler.
I forgot. What's the exact amount that we have in our account right now?
36,000.
36,300. So we can't even fund the links.
Anyway, there we go.
37,000.
Continued discussion. Before I entertain a motion, was a representative from the link requested at all? Did we send a request out, guys, for the link?
We tried talking to them.
We tried, but they didn't answer you, really? Okay, and there's no representative from the link in the room. I'll entertain a motion.
Well, it's not really a motion anymore, it's an idea. So it's a point. So, given our current budget position, what might work is to table this for now, do some of the link, put the last deposit, with the 10 grand, the final deposit for the link, on the summer budget, because to my knowledge there's a $12,000 surplus, and then put that 10 grand in the summer budget instead of right now, so that we don't bankrupt ourselves completely. Is that something that we can do? Is there any link in
So
the summer budget?
the way I see it, the link really isn't exactly sure what's going on. From what I do understand about the link, they just transitioned, and the people who are currently running it really don't have any idea. They asked for the $37,000. I looked back at the previous request, and it looked like a reasonable thing to be asking. But there's a lot of confusion, and when I asked them to answer the questions, they didn't know. Like I said, I guess the point I'm getting at is the money that they're asking for might not even be the correct number that they actually need. Kristen's right now trying to call someone and trying to get someone over here who might be able to answer more questions. But otherwise, we don't even have the money to fully fund them now. But if we waited till the summer, when we have our summer meeting, we could entertain something then. The summer meeting is what day? July 18th. So they have, split up. It looks like they had payments due every couple months. So if we meet in the summer, we'd have the student activity fee for the summer, and we can put funds of that towards this then to pay the later payments of that month. I'm not sure how else it could be handled though.
I kind of think we should probably just table both of these. Leave them aside. I think maybe we should just do that, leave them over to the side. Only because we can't really seem to get them done, and we can get your money in time to buy them for the fall. If we do it later, that'll be 100% reasonable. So continue discussion with the Senate. Sean.
Move to table the archery club position fund request.
Dave, to clarify, would you vote on this? All those in favor of tabling this item for a later date, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Just show of hands. All those in favor of tabling, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, so we have the majority. We'll continue with this table. Any item on the docket? Sean.
Move to approve the link edition fund request.
If you don't bring it up, you just leave it there.
I still want to
To discuss it?
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Discussion on that. Sean is.
So the only reason I want to bring it up is because because two of their items are due before the summer meeting. So that's why I brought that up.
But it also says 2015.
Technically, yeah.
Well, do they mean 2014?
We don't. That's why we asked for clarification.
Okay.
I would suggest we table it, but we'll continue discussion. Tyler. Seats on the cabinet.
So what we had a meeting with OSL on Friday, and what I got out of the meeting was that their link is under a new cabinet, and they kind of don't really know what's going on, because they're not talking to the Office of Student Life as much as they're supposed to be. So I think that they just got confused about the numbers. I would say do the first two, like the April and August one, or whatever the first two are, the ones that are like absolutely necessary, and then get clarification. If they don't use it, it'll roll back anyway.
Continue discussion. Sean, open it. Mark.
Alright, so I know what we're saying, so maybe we go to the August one, but I think that we should approve this because if they do need the money, like we're talking about the state's priority, and if they don't, they're just not going to use it, and there are no other additional funding requests for the fall. This is the last meeting. This is the last budget we're going to be looking at for the spring that we're in right now. It's not too long.
We don't have clarification. We don't have 37.
Okay, so I would motion to remove line item 2, $9,000 due in August 2015. Yeah, because it will be due way after the summer if they do need this money this semester. We don't know when July. It could be July 1st. Second.
So we have a second on that. Discussion on that motion, which is to strike line item 2 from their budget request. Discussion on that. Mark already clarified why. Anybody else?
If they don't spend it, we'll get it back.
Reba.
Just to clarify for you guys, I don't know if any of you have the comments that I don't know if it's Gabby. It says that the comment actually says that the link forgot to budget. So just to clarify for you guys, the comment actually says that they need so much money. It says that they forgot. Just want to let you guys know.
Continue discussion. The motion is to strike line item 2. Emily, do you have anything? Okay, we'll continue. Sean?
Move for your question.
We have a second. All those in favor of moving for your question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of striking line item 2 for August at $9,000, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We'll continue discussion on the budget as it stands, line item 1, 3, and 4. Discussion on that, Mike. Move for your question.
Second.
All those in favor of moving for your discussion, please say aye. All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the current link budget request as it stands, which would be at $28,000, please say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. We'll continue with the meeting. Tyler.
I move to allocate $9,000 for the link in the summer 2014 budget.
Yeah, he can do that. Do we need majority vote for that? Yeah, or 2/3, right? Because it's a cost item that wasn't on the docket. What? I need I need 2/3.
You just need a majority to spend money.
To spend the money. Okay, so
it can be brought up.
do we have a second? We have a second on that. Well, I guess we'll bring discussion up. Tyler, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, it just seems like that's what's going to work out.
Mark.
As much as I fought for the other one, I think that this gives them an opportunity to clarify which semester we're talking about too, instead of just giving them $9,000 over the summer, especially before other better, more detailed budgets for the summer. I know we have the 12,000 surplus, but I'm just saying I think we should let them come back and clarify on this one.
Continue discussion, Matt.
Well, I think the $9,000 is something we don't know fully about yet, and it makes more sense to wait until the summer meeting when we know and have lots of clarification, so we should just wait this out.
Okay.
Consider it then.
Continue discussion.
I agree with you.
Sean?
Move previous.
All those in favor of moving the previous discussion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of allocating $9,000 to the link for their summer budget, please say aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion does not pass. Continued discussion on the items on the agenda. Sean?
Question for Eddie, what's the balance?
For which,
For
what?
now, right
For
now.
spring?
Yes.
Now, after that approval, we have 8,300.
Okay, thank you.
And then what about summer?
And summer, as it stands right now, with, after financial cuts, we're estimating 600 students at $60 per student, which is 36,000. It's 70? Okay, well,
No, I just spoke to the.
I didn't get an updated number.
Well,
from that yet.
continue discussion then. The point can't be clarified. Mark?
Yeah, those are all estimates like we always do with the SAF, so don't worry about that, guys. Motion to approve all the summer budgets as a whole.
Summer budget as a whole.
Second.
Okay. Where is that? Oh, you're bringing that item up, right? I'm sorry, let me get that up. I know, I'm opening it up. Summer 2014 budgets, let me open it up. Okay, we're opening the motion right now as a whole. If you'd like, we can divide it. I don't think we need to. I don't think there are enough budgets for that. But up to you as the Senate. Continue discussion on the summer budgets. Mark?
I had a question, maybe, I guess, as financial board can clarify. Yacht club sounds like a fall budget. All the items we're asking for, sound like things for the fall. Does that seem accurate that maybe we should shoot that down at the summer SAF? See that? Oh, yeah. Right, that
So
should
yacht
be-
club is in recreation, guys, for those of you looking for it.
I guess motion to cut the yacht club.
That's
zero.
wrong.
What? Yeah, I'm gonna bring up in a second. We do have a representative from the organization here. All right, $30 for photocopy forms at one meeting. I brought up for reference. Is there a motion on it? I didn't see one. I didn't hear a motion on it. Do we have a motion on it? Sean?
The question for the representative, it says fall, what's up?
I don't know why she keeps submitting this. I talked to Reba about this. We submitted a budget for the fall that we got rid of this. We don't need this stuff. I don't know what she's asking for these $30 for. She hasn't talked to the rest of us on the keyboard for the stuff, so I don't.
Clarification from the committee representative, Reba?
Yeah, I talked to a couple people on cabinet now. No one has any idea what this is about, so I guess it's striking.
So we're in a motion to approve all the summer budgets, so someone would make a motion of that motion to strike this budget. Just so you know where we're at.
Strike this budget.
Discussion on that motion, which is to remove the Stevens Yacht Club budget from the summer budgets.
Second.
All in favor of moving to discussion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of removing the Stevens Yacht Club budget from the summer budget request forms, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We'll continue with all summer budgets as they stand. There's golf, archery, for those of you looking for things to ask about. There's a ship budget, Hispanic professional engineers, and then WCPR. That's all of them, right? I don't miss anything? I'm gonna go to Mark, because he probably has some.
Just for old time's sake, let's bring up a conversation about how WCPR is giving out things specifically to freshmen that are like over the summer, not yet students, didn't pay the SAF, blah, 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 just gonna talk about everything.
We're in that budget as discussed, so he can add that discussion point if anybody has anything to add. Anna, new summer budgets, anything to say? Your hand was up. Never mind. New summer budgets, anything to add? Mark's concerned about the WCBR budget and how it's not going to be spent on current students. Discussion is yours. Sean?
So, I guess, is there a representative?
There's not a representative in the room now.
Okay.
You want me to bring it up? Here.
CPRs.
That means you can only record on them once, and then it's done. Okay, Sean.
Considering that the things for the freshman package should be coming out of whatever orientation, student life, shadowy budget thing there is, not from the undergraduate student body, top line item 1.
We have a second discussion on that motion. Sean, do you have anything to clarify?
I already said.
Mark, do you have anything to clarify?
We're good.
I'm just happy it's not a whole taking them out to dinner at Arthur's like usual.
It was that at one point in time, yeah. Continue discussion on that motion. Anything to add? Matt?
Second.
All in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of striking line item 1? Was it just one? Right?
Just one.
Just one from the WCPR summer budget request, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We'll continue with discussion on all summer budgets. Tyler.
I have a question about the WCPR rating, which I don't know whether it can be clarified. I'm just wondering, like, what they're purchasing one of their items for. For those who don't know, on the first line, obviously I know what they're buying shelves for the regular library board, but the first, a KVM is a basically monitor and mouse switch between computers. So you plug multiple computers into it, and you get to like switch the monitor and mouse between the computers. Does WCPR have 8 computers that they're switching between? I'm just wondering what they're buying this for.
Do we have any clarification? It's just the website for where they make it, just description of what it does, overview. So as Tyler's familiar with it, some of you are not. Sean?
I know they at least need to switch between 2. Because when I had a show, there was 2 in the studio that you would flip back and forth between.
Because the thing is, like, you can buy a 2-computer KVM for like $30 to $40, as opposed to this rack mount 8-computer, which is $1,200.
So that's Tyler's clarification, is they might be buying more than their needs requires, so that's good discussion. Vaughn?
That's my understanding, they still only have 2 computers in there, so I motion to cut that line item.
Cut it in its entirety or strike it to a different number?
Cut it in its entirety, and then they can just ask for what they need.
That's fine. Do we have a second on that? Strike line item. So discussion on that as it stands. Anna?
Why don't we table it into the record?
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
We can't table it.
What?
We can't table. If you table something, it only tables until the end of the session, and the session ends at the table. So.
Well, that is also as a sound clarification. But either way, if you turn it down and you remove it, it's the same idea as if we had tabled it.
Yeah.
So Matt and Sean.
So is there any way they need this for the summer? Like, why they submit this summer?
Are you a member of the organization?
No, but I think I know why they want this.
You know what? Last meeting of the year, I don't care. We're gonna humor.
Very fun, I can defer.
What? I already gave him the time. I'm
I
senator.
think
Thanks,
they want,
Mark.
because this particular one, they need it more because it can store in a rack than the switch itself. Because the lowest number of ports that this can support is 8 ports. I think they more want it to be stored in one of their racks.
That actually, from my experience with WCPR, sounds exactly why they would want this one over the smaller one, which is just a little dongle.
Like the convenience of having a rack mount KVM sounds like a terrible excuse for spending $1,000 more.
But it is something they would do. So continue discussion. I think it's very reasonable to take it off and let them come and ask for it later because they can function fine without it. Sean?
Tara, depending on how this goes out, can you tell WCPR why, just so they know? So they just think we cut it, you don't think they need it?
Who should I contact?
What?
WCPR.
No, they have a subcommittee representative.
Oh, yeah, who's the
WCPR is arts and music? No?
Media.
Media. Shan?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it? You let them know?
Okay, cool.
Okay, we'll let them know. They can always, first off, they have the funds to buy it on their own if they want to, then we can deal with that later. So continue discussion. Sean?
Move previous.
Second. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of striking line item 1 for capital improvements for the KVM, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We'll continue with discussion of all summer budgets as they stand. All summer budgets as they stand. That's WCPR, SHIP, and then handful recreation. archery, golf, and yacht club, which we already turned down. So, continued discussion on summer budgets. Tyler?
I just have an inquiry, it's not really, I'm just
Well,
wondering.
as long as it's about summer budgets, I'll entertain it.
How much did we give the golf club for last summer?
Checking right now.
The golf club budget is at 11,000.
I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me, so.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Anyone
No,
submit
it's
something
just
for
that
summer?
anything where you want to do summer guys. I really
That's a lot.
It is a lot of money, but.
Sean is a member of the organization. Allow him to clarify on anything.
Oh, golf.
Sorry,
I thought you
did I
said
say
yacht.
No.
My apologies.
Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so the golf club has, we've been talking with our membership, and we decided, like, we want to do more than just run the business end of the SFA outing. So the summer's a great time to go golfing because the weather's nice. During the school year, there's between fairly busy school events, usually when you go on a weekend, it knocks out your whole day. And most of the school year is in the winter. Summer's the time when we can go more often. So that's why we decided this summer we want to put in a budget thing, so that we can have outings and bring trips and all that things. And then the big $5 grand is the deposit for the fall outing, which will probably come in the summer when we book and like lock down the date. Yeah.
So some of that is preemptive money for the fall.
Yeah, the $5 grand is for the fall. The money would have to be in our account over the summer to put down the deposit.
Yeah, this is an issue that came with the last golf outing that we did in the fall. So, Mark?
Yeah.
Time to Gordon.
Yeah, to clarify your question, last year they were given $4,500 for the student faculty golf outing.
So, discussion on summer budgets as a whole. Mark?
I guess maybe if it helps people feel better too about the amount of events. If you think about the like shift barbecue too, like, there are students here over summer. That SAF is the people that are here.
There's a lot of us here.
So it's spending the people who's going to be here money. It's not even like you have to worry about like, oh, I'm getting charged something and not being able to experience. It's only people that are here. There's a lot of people here.
Continue discussion. Continue discussion. Tyler?
Second.
All those in favor of moving the pre-discussion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All those in favor of approving the summer budgets as they now stand. We made cuts to the yacht club. We made cuts to WCPR. All those in favor of approving the summer budgets, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion passes. Summer budgets for 2014 are approved. Continued discussion of all items of the docket. Anna?
Motion to approve 5A to land this rollover request.
Rollover request, we have a second. Discussion on the motion, Anna. You made it, you're allowed to speak first. Tyler.
I'm just wondering what this is being reallocated to, because it seems they're rolling over like conference fees. Yeah, that's my question. What are they rolling? Does anybody?
Reva.
So this is a conference we budgeted for that it never happened because like dues fell through with the club. So when the new cabinet took over, we would use this money that we never used to go to the other conference that we would go to.
Continue discussion on the rollover. Mark.
I'm going to try and look it up real quick too, but maybe the county clarify if they already received funding for that conference in the fall? Are you guys?
We gave them 20, unless we amended it, which I don't know, but according to their PBL fall budget, we gave them $29.15 for the National Leadership Conference. This is a different conference.
No.
That's
That
great
just
job.
wouldn't cover all the
Wait, so the national one is the same as the state one though?
No, they're two separate conferences, and the one that happens in the fall is the fall National Leadership Conference. It's a different conference. but
Okay.
It's money towards.
Okay.
Guys, side conversation, keep it moving. Is everybody clear on that point? This is rollover from a different conference that they're going to use towards their national conference in the fall. Correct? Yeah, right? That's what. All right. So discussion on the motion to approve their rollover. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for discussion. Sorry. All those in favor of the discussion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, doesn't pass. Continue discussion. Tyler.
So, I mean, I'm wondering how this affects our guidelines, because wouldn't this put over the conference allocation? Because we did give them money for this conference in their fall budget, this would be additional money for their fall conference.
That's a point he's brought up for discussion among the Senate. If you'd like to discuss it, you can do so. Matt, I'm sorry, Matt.
So we did fund them for the fall.
Yes.
So why do they beat the roll? Still confusing.
Continued discussion. Anything? Reba, would you like to clarify?
Yeah, I mean, the money that we received for the fall conference, it wouldn't cover everyone's expenses, but I mean, I can see why this would go with budgeting guidelines. I didn't really think about this.
Continued discussion. Devon?
Getting some clarification of what was allocated specifically to their fall conference already, so we can see how far off the guideline they would go with this rollover.
This amount, we cut it to the guideline.
Oh, okay.
Right?
What they were approved for the fall was $1,200 for registration, $1,500 travel, and another $250 for the hotel. So essentially everything that they could get for hotel and travel, and $1,200 out of the $1,715 that they'd be allowed for registration.
Sean?
Okay, so I did some math, and so they would be maxed out of their conference funding if we trimmed this to 500, what was it? 430, $515. That would max out, so I'm, what? Can I, yeah, so can I trim the rollover to 515?
Yep.
Yeah, you're revising the rollover number.
Yeah. Motion to cut the 1275 to 515 lines with conference guidelines.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Discussion on the motion to revise the rollover number to 512?
515.
515. Discussion. John and then Reba.
I was just going to move the previous motion.
All right, then Reba.
This is for clarification. One thing that we did do when we submitted our budgets was budget for the club fair. So I was planning on submitting an additional funding request, like first meeting on fall. If all of this passed, would it be okay to say like the rest of the money would go to the club fair?
No, you have to do another reallocation
Alright,
request.
all
So
I wanted to know.
yeah, you wouldn't just get the money to spend. That's unfortunate. But that's what happens when people steal money from the SGA. We set new rules. Continue discussion. So the motion to strike this a conference regulation. Yeah.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All those in favor of revising their rollover request of $515, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion passes. Continued discussion on the rollover request. Sean.
Move the previous question.
All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All those in favor of approving the Phi Beta Lambda rollover request, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion passes. Rollover request passes at $515. Continued discussion on the docket. Devon.
Move to approve the late and non-RSO fall budgets.
All right, so right now it was accepted as a total, all of them at once. Now wait a second, just to clarify, that second group of budgets, these are to be considered with fall or separately?
Sorry?
That separate group of budgets you sent out when the meeting started?
So, they were all additional funding, and they should be for the spring semester.
All right, we're gonna consider them, no, some of them say fall.
Yes.
The confusion was that they submitted them as fall, but they're in the spring.
Yeah.
Oh, really? All those budgets?
Yeah, they were submitted in the fall period, but they were actually additional funding requests. They submit for additional funding that would come from whatever the current period is.
All right, so that's student awareness and club fair.
Yeah, they submitted 3, which also.
All right, okay. All right, so this motion is just that one folder we originally sent for fall 2014 late non-RSO budgets, that folder. Those are the only budgets considered in this motion. All right, just to clarify. Next time, start now. Tyler.
My first question, the iClub's not an RSO?
It's late.
Oh, it's late, okay.
Because
Oh,
they
sorry, I
rescinded
forgot
their
this is
they rescinded
late
their
January.
budget. They said that they would be okay with us humoring them as a late RSO.
Okay, in that case, my thing is, so this kind of like begs the question, what is the purpose of being an RSO, other than getting priority budgets? Because I don't think, I mean, maybe senators may want to clarify, I've never seen a budget for non-RSO conferences. I mean, if I wanted to attend like the College Republicans conference or the APO Nationals conference, and as just a not a member of that non-RSO, just as a general body member, is that considered an open event?
We can clarify cabinet or the Senate. I'm going to let Mark go first, and then I'll give it to the cabinet.
Directly related to that, kind of happens every year. I should think about APO's conference budgets, and although like most organizations, they're open to joining because there's like that whole membership process by which you must join in order to be, a member. Again, I'm in favor of rush events and open community service events, but something like that, like a conference, seems like a close event to me.
Do we have a second on the motion to strike the conference budget from the? We do have a second, so we'll go to the discussion now on that. Before we continue, Angel, you had something to clarify about.
Yeah, their president came and spoke to us, and apparently, yeah, there's something they budget for every year, even though they're non-RSO, and it is open to all of campus if you want to go. So it's not a closed event.
But the motion is open on the table, so we're gonna go to Danielle.
Yes, so the APO conferences are open to everyone, and we do the same thing of no club in this entire school advertises their conferences. So if you're gonna sit here and cut our conference that is open to everyone that anybody can go to just because other clubs don't advertise their conferences, what about like all the other conferences that people get sent to? Like nobody advertises for like the NSBE conference. Like how come like I can't just go and show up to that? Like nobody tells me when it is. What if I wanted to go? Like so you can't do that to us as a reason because that is not a valid reason. This event is open to anybody who would like to go, and member, non-member, doesn't matter. Just saying.
Now, I just have a question for clarification. The national organization that runs the conference, they're okay with non-members
Yes,
attending?
absolutely.
That's a national
We had
event,
guests
right?
go last year.
All right, so that's a clarification from the organization.
Yes, we had guests that were not in APO.
All right, so that's something that they allow. That is the clarification as provided. Continuing discussion in the Senate. Tyler.
My problem with this has nothing to do with the event being closed. It has to do with the fact that there's no benefit to being an RSO. We give non-RSOs the exact same thing that we give RSOs. The only difference between an RSO and a non-RSO is that RSOs have more restrictions on them by the SGA. Other than that, we give them the same funding. We'll give conferences to non-RSOs, conferences to RSOs, events to non-RSOs, events to RSOs. There's literally no difference except for the fact that maybe RSOs get priority in budget. But in this case, it doesn't even matter because we're giving the non-RSOs their full budget anyway.
Valid points.
Which
I understand.
no,
this is a discussion point that's been brought up in the past as to what exactly are the perks you have for being an RSO. And there are a bunch that really don't mean much, but that's up to you guys to decide. The Senate. Last meeting, Mike.
So I just want to bring us back into focus. While I do think she just made some good points, Tyler, it's not really the point of this meeting. I think that's something to say for like the summer retreat. Definitely something to talk about there because that is like a really good point. So I just ask that we get back into
So
this.
the motion is?
I move to previous question, right? Or is that on the whole thing?
It's just on the motion to strike the conference lines because we had a second on that.
Move to previous question.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
All those in favor of moving the previous discussion, please say aye. All those opposed? All those in favor of striking the conference line items, national conference line items from the APO budget for the fall, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Show of hands. Show of hands. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, motion is not passed. Budget will continue as it
Next semester, I'll
stands.
get rid of the RSO. There's no point in that.
Don't speak out of turn, please.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Mike.
I just want to make a general comment. If we can just revisit what Dean Nielsen said at the beginning of this meeting, talking about our personal beliefs. Let's bring this back into what our role as senators is, and that's to make sure that things are within the guidelines, and not to focus on our own personal thoughts on anything that's brought to the SGA or to the Senate.
I agree.
Continue please don't speak out of turn, Tyler. That's alright. Mark.
A relevant discussion point, commonly direct reply is that this conference has been cut in the past because of the reasons that were stated. They IPO lost their RSO status because of the reasons I stated by being not an open organization. And so I think I was doing a very good job looking out for the interest of the student body. And again, by motion to cut.
Okay, before no, I don't want to be the speaker, guys. I did all year without it. We're not going to get into this discussion. Save it for discussion. Save it till the next session. Do it over the summer.
We did not lose our artist.
Do it. We're gonna do this over. We're gonna do this over the summer. We're gonna do this over the summer, guys.
I'm not gonna be here over the summer. I'm ready to leave right now.
We're just gonna let this go on our time.
I'm being good.
Fall, late fall, and non-RSO budgets. Okay. APO. This one that doesn't have an organization. It's Hellenic, the Jewish one. Honor Board. Alpha Epsilon Delta. These are the clubs we're discussing right now. Okay. That's it. Sean.
Question for Eddie.
Yes.
So when
It better be about fall, late budgets.
It is.
Okay.
It's very much so about late non-RSO budgets. So for when you gave us the total, being the projected balance
Correct.
for the fall, does that include these?
Okay. The projected balance with the fall, with these included, right now, we have 23,500 left. With the full amounts for everything
On here.
on.
Okay.
That would be what is left. And that, you also have to realize, that's just from the student activity fee. That doesn't include rollover.
Or the summer
Or,
rollover. Or
yeah.
the spring rollover.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, that's it.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Continued discussion, late fall. If you want to make motions to change them, you can do so now. Mark.
Interestingly, also related to Tyler's point, is there a College Republicans representative? Because the conference is listed as being hosted by them in DC. And so I was kind of confused about like which conference they were bugging me for. If they were going down there to host one.
Yeah, I can't answer that.
Do we have something?
Yeah.
I'll allow speak out of turn. Go ahead.
So basically, I don't know if you guys are aware, there is a campus that Stevens has in Washington, D.C. It's in the Reagan building. So talking with Professor Wharton and also the dean of the school that's down there, they are basically offering a space where we can host our own conference, invite the speakers that we want to invite, and also there's plenty of schools down there to go to this conference. So we are in the works of planning this conference, and the school down there is willing to, the last time we talked to them, they were willing to work with us as far as food and stuff like that. So this is transportation and lodging.
This is clarification. Is that enough? You comfortable with that? Sean.
Clarification from the representative. How many people are going to this? Do you know?
We're in the midst of planning it.
Okay. Okay.
So that's a clarification for that fall budget. Continue discussion on fall and RSOs. Continue discussion. If not, we'll move to the previous question. You guys still looking through them? We do send this out ahead of time. Just saying. Okay. Late non-RSOs for the fall. Give you a couple more minutes. I'll entertain a motion for previous question. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye. All those opposed. All those in favor of approving the late non-RSO budgets as they currently stand, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion passes. We'll continue with the agenda. There it is. Continue discussion with the agenda. Anna.
Motion to approve the election results for the 2001.
Wait, now let's just, because there is so much on here, can we just, we did that, we're not gonna do that one, we did that one. These last two, alright, what about the stuff on the table? You guys wanna handle stuff on the table first? I would prefer to get everything cleaned up with first. We did CAM, we didn't do that. So, go ahead, Sean.
Is there a representative from Habitat here?
There's no representative from Habitat.
Okay.
All right, continue to the bottom.
Quick question. What did we need representative from Habitat for? What did we need clarification?
There was a concern that the Office of Student Life and the school's bursars office was already paying students to attend Habitat events, and we had concern about allowing them RSO status and permission to request for a budget in the regular timetable if the school was paying representatives to attend the events anyway. So that was a concern, although there were a number of senators who clarified that they did not know of any such program. So, but some did, so that was the discussion. Sean?
So just to confirm, was any, like, aside from having them come to the meeting, did the representatives from Habitat get back to anyone on the cabinet?
No, they never got back.
So just, can we get, you all right, Mark? You okay over there? Yeah? I'm gonna ask a parliamentarian question first before we continue.
Yep.
Items we leave on the table at the close of a Senate or items from new business that we do not open, what happens to their status following the meeting? With close
Things
of the
that you
Senate?
don't open, you don't open.
They just get, and stuff left on the table just gets left, it just doesn't get concluded?
Yeah, because it's the end of the session, so it would fall off the table.
So it wouldn't be on the table, it's just gone, knock it off the table. So that's just to keep you guys aware, at this particular meeting, anything you leave here will not be on the docket after in the next meeting or over the summer, so you just gotta deal with that.
You can put them back on the docket, it just wouldn't be on the table.
Yeah, you have to request them to be back on the docket. So that's just, what that means is when the agenda goes out for the following meeting, it won't be listed there unless someone requests it to be on the docket. Whereas right now, items left on the table automatically get put on the docket the next time through. So continue discussion in Mark's and John.
I think it shows a lack of interest or caring. You didn't know they couldn't even just reply to an email for clarification. So I'm going to motion to approve the election results for the 101st Senate while asking for a point of clarification on what those election results are.
Sorry? Yeah, you guys haven't brought that up yet.
Well, that is something, you guys. I will agree. Could the cabinet, you sent out the election results? All right, she's gonna send the election results to me so we can put it up and then approve it. Seeing that there were a list of budgets that you don't have to humor, but you could humor Tyler.
So I made this point last time, if you don't approve the election.
And as long as the election committee approves that.
Can I motion to close the meeting of the
No, I don't want to close because we have items that no one's humored yet. The ones that Ed sent out. They're not on the docket. They were sent out for a review. Yeah, so that's what I want to humor if people can open those up.
Has the election committee certified the results?
Can we have a representative from the election committee please confirm? Election committee, who is the election committee? Raise your hands. I need two more. I have three. 3 hands up. Who's the fourth? I need a senior. Who's a senior? Oh, there was a senior election? Technically, you still need a representative for the election committee, but it's fine. We'll pretend it didn't happen. Andrew Bean. Andrew Bean, you served as representative, okay? Confirmed. Okay. Election committee, are we okay with this? The results? All right, that's clarified. Can we bring up the other items that Ed sent out if you guys want to? Can we do that? Matt?
Motion to approve, investment clubs.
It's a spring additional funding request, technically.
Yeah,
There's a typo. All right, now which one do you want to bring up? Because there's 3 of them.
Operational expenses.
Do we have a second on that motion? We do have a second, okay. So this is the additional funding request for the spring that they brought up. And these are for the fall.
It's alright.
So if they want to buy the motions,
Yeah. They weren't on the docket because they didn't do a good job communicating. They filled it out wrong. They submitted it incorrectly. I tried telling them that they should just resubmit it correctly, and they didn't do it. So that's why it wasn't on the docket. But I felt it was obligated to tell you guys all about it.
We have a second. We're in discussion on this. Tyler.
So I think Matt summarized this perfectly. This is a spring additional funding request to be purchased in the summer and used in the fall. I think this should just be a fall additional funding request. and that we should vote this down and re-receive it when we actually are doing fall district budget requests. Unless we somehow treat it as a late budget. I don't know if we can do that.
I really have no idea.
I think we can, because I think it's like the same way that when we add and remove lines from like the fall budgets, I think we can say like motion to approve this budget for a fall 2014 budget. And if we think that the budget is appropriate and all that, then I think we should. Instead of, even though they try to clarify that it wasn't, like, they can buy it in the fall, using our discretion. That's what they're thinking.
Continued discussion. We only have this of their 3 awkwardly submitted additional fund requests, maybe fall, maybe spring. There's 3 of them, so they submit them in parts. Very uncharacteristic. Guys, side discussion. Devon.
I move to do that, to make this a fall additional fund.
Okay, we're gonna let Mark make the motion. I think he thought it out already.
So the motion's been made to approve this budget as a spring budget. So we either need to kill that or rescind that.
Yeah.
And then I would propose motioning.
Discussion's already began, so we need someone to move through his question.
I think what I would recommend we do is vote this down and then approve all 3 of them as a fall budget request.
Okay, well, move to Bruce question, I'll entertain it. All those in favor of moving to Bruce question, please say aye. All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the Stevens Investment Club additional fund request as it stands, please say aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion does not pass. Continue discussion on the additional fund request sent out by Ed. Yeah, oh no, I'm sorry, any of those ones, that's what I'm hearing right now. So Tyler.
So move to approve the 3 investment club requests for fall 2014.
Second. So we have a second. I'm gonna ask parliamentarian for clarification. Are you alright with this?
The SGA has the authority to move money from the main SGA account to whatever spending it deems necessary, so.
But the structure of the motion where he's motioning to approve 3 separate budgets as
fine.
one budget for another semester?
That's fine.
Okay, so we're constitutionally in the go. Discussion on this. Sean.
Club operational expenses. I move to cut line item 3 to 175.
Second.
Oh, we have a second. Discussion on that. Matt.
Move previous question.
Second.
All those in favor of moving previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We have 1 nay. Discussion did not last long enough, so we'll continue discussion with Emily.
Sorry, I'm just like, it says per semester, so are they asking for like half the spring, half the fall, half the spring? Like, yeah.
Well, just to clarify, because this is a fall budget, or we're humoring it as one, you guys can make cuts under the assumption that this is just for fall. So, continue discussion on that since we opened again. Devon.
I mean, even though they itemize it in that way, they can't use what they get for the fall additional fund request for the spring anyway. So they can only use 175 in the fall if we were to follow the guideline in the first place, regardless of how they described it. Right.
Matt.
Second.
All those in favor of moving previous discussion, please say aye. All those opposed? All those in favor of striking line item 3 of the Stevens Investment Club operational expenses, additional fund request of $175, please say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Continue discussion on all 3 of the investment club budgets as a fall budget. Continue discussion. Continue discussion. There are 3 of them. Sean.
Move previous. On the 3.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of moving the previous discussion, please say aye. All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the 3 budgets as they now stand as a fall budget, please say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Continued discussion. Just to clarify now, we have Field Leadership Conference, which is a summer budget request, and the SGA Summer Retreat, which is also a summer budget request, which are being entertained separately. Continued discussion. Matt.
Motion to approve the field goal leadership.
Do we have a second? We have a second? All right, discussion. Mark, what's your concerns about this?
It's a big cheese summer institute. I know we always talk about like, what do people learn at conferences. They mentioned leadership skills, knowledge, and tools. Sounds very vague. I mean, I guess I could look that more, but I don't know. I don't know how a Feel Good World has a national conference. Personally.
Continued discussion, the motion's open to approve, so, Mike?
If you have any questions on the details, you just go to feelgood.org, and they have the Big Cheese Cinema Institute. They describe everything that you would like to know about it on that page.
Do we have any more discussion? Sean?
Second.
All those in favor of approving discussion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the Feel Good Summer Budget Request for their Big Cheese Institute Conference, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? A show of hands, all those in favor of approving it, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Continued discussion. There's one left, the SGA Summer Retreat Budget. Matt? All right, we'll move to that. I'll open that one up. Right there. There it is. This is it. $2,340. Because it will be asked, can someone pull up last year's additional referring request so we know how much we're comparing to? We already did. Yeah, we put money aside last year. Yeah, okay. Emily?
I guess just like use the argument a lot that conferences aren't open to everyone and like I don't know, if we're having like Senate meetings and stuff and like I don't know, are we gonna advertise when it's open to all campus and try and fund it with the advertising? Like we can try to use that argument to shut another club, so I just wanna make sure that like we're following our own guidelines for our own organization.
Continued discussion. Matt?
Can we like advertise this as open again?
Well, I don't know, publicity. Your choice. Continued discussion. Mark?
I believe the point was made that all clubs, or mostly all clubs, do not advertise their conferences. I'm not saying we don't have to or shouldn't. I'm just saying that was the point made and no one disagreed. So.
Continued discussion, Matt.
So directly on that, just a response, you can sign up for the mailing list of any club, but some clubs you can't sign up for the mailing list unless you're like approved. So I would disagree with that.
Continued discussion. Just to remind you guys, the motion on the table is to approve the SGA Summer Retreat additional fare request. So that, let's keep discussion to that. Sean?
I mean, at the same time, the SGA is not, in itself is not necessarily an RSO.
Yes, we are.
Are we? Oh.
If we spend money on ourselves. If we spend money, yeah, it says on ourselves. So.
Okay.
Continued discussion. Guys, now turn. Reba. Do we have a second on the previous question?
Yes.
We do. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the SGA additional fire request as it stands, $2,340, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. All right. So that's all of Ed's budgets that he sent out. That's all the fall. That's all the summer. We covered all the items that we wanted to discuss. We're leaving the one constitution, the two constitutions, one on the table, one on the docket. We're not going to humor them. They can choose to bring them back up in future semesters. It's up to you guys. So continue discussion. Any motions?
Allie, can you, so when all these items fall off the table into SGA limbo, can we notify the organizations that they have to resubmit in order for it to be re-entertained?
The ones on the table, the ones we don't have.
Yeah, the ones that will be on the table at the end of the meeting, once we close the, yes, just so they know that they have to resubmit it, we're not just waiting on, like, that we're not just sitting on it.
Sean?
Move to approve the proclamation.
I wasn't. What? No. I wasn't.
April 29th is Barry Allen Travis Day.
I didn't get this.
Can we?
What? I can't. I'm not seeing time to not send her. I'm sorry. Sean, what you made it? What? I don't have this. This wasn't provided to me.
It's on the docket on the website.
It's on the website? Was that added after? It was added after, wasn't it? Alright, can you just say the motion again? What was it?
motion to approve the proclamation. but we
It's
need
not
a-
on here. Oh, there it is. What is this?
I don't have it.
Alright, what is it? We have a second? What's the motion? Do we have a second? Yeah, 1 second, 1 second. So, you guys should have done during the next session. I'm still a speaker, but fine.
So we have to tell us we'll see.
Discussion, Sean.
Does this conflict with Owen Chapman Appreciation Day?
Owen Chapman's Day is
Okay.
the day before. Yeah. We'll see time to.
Okay, sorry, this was intended for the next Senate, but this is a proclamation for, I'll read it. Whereas Barry Allen Travis, having exhibited extraordinary commitment to the Student Government Association of Stevens Institute of Technology, whereas Barry, having served honorably as Speaker of the Senate, whereas Barry, having been pretty awesome, therefore, April 29th shall forever be known as Barry Allen Travis Appreciation Day at Stevens Institute of Technology. And just for those of you who are wondering, this does not conflict with Owen Chapman Appreciation Day, which is on April 28th.
Discussion on the motion. Yeah. Second. All in favor of the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Discussion not continued, by the way. Continue discussion, we'll go to Devon.
We don't have a Barry Allen Travis with that.
It is
name.
spelled wrong, yeah.
So I don't want to have an appreciation day for some random fancy.
We'll continue with Mark.
I'm still pretty bitter that you guys all just missed my Sean Photo Appreciation Day and like the farce and like just the jokes. We all voted no on it. So I don't know. These seem like not Senate business. And, we should be spending our time on.
I mean, we opened it, and as speaker, I did continue it, so. Go on.
So if we table it could be tabled until the meeting of the next Senate, so it would fall into limbo, correct?
Yeah, that's what happens.
It has to because it's the end of the second day.
You can't motion to amend a proclamation. John and then Andrew.
I move to amend the proclamation to Barry's correct name, which I don't know how to spell.
I spell Allen with an A. So do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of moving the previous discussion, please say aye. All those opposed? All those in favor of advising the document at all mentions of Allen with an E to be Allen with an A, please say aye. All those opposed? Discussion will now continue 5 minutes.
Well, no.
But that was a vote on motion.
Oh, it was a vote? Oh, then it's passed. Continue discussion then on the proclamation. Matt.
Second.
All those in favor of the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the proclamation of the SGA to make April 29th Barry Allen Travis Appreciation Day, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
We'll just show hands on that one. We'll just do by hands. I'll just humor and do by hands. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? Well, motion passes at majority, so there we go. Narrow margin. It would be the first time I only speak by. What? So proclamation passes. I thank you guys so much. It's very. I feel honored to have such a something so bestowed upon me. Continue with the agenda. Scott.
So I guess I move to close the 100th session of the Senate.
Before we close,
the third 100th Senate session.
I was sent the election results in my email. Well, I just want to open them up.
If the election committee approved them,
I know. I just want to put them up as like a committee report. What? Listen, Chucky. I ain't humoring out of turn speakers right now.
you're almost done.
I'm not. I'll kick you out. I'll kick you guys right out.
Yo, can we just end this?
Wait, let me just open it up, just so we know. So, we're not gonna have anything. Alright. So guys, what? Yeah, I'll look in a second. Okay. Can we have we're gonna close the meeting. I'm fine with that. This is just so you guys know what the election results are, just so they're up here. Right, so we know the election committee has approved them. If a senator wants to appeal them, right, they can do that, or no? No, all right, never mind. Doesn't say that. Tyler?
Are we gonna go into discussion for this meeting or?
We technically should go into discussion on this meeting, or are we gonna save this till the next one? So,
I won't be in
you won't be allowed to discuss it. So, yeah, he's right, we're gonna do discussion then. I'm sorry, I have to do discussion.
Before we do,
David, like to make a statement.
thank you all for a great semester, but I'm resigning as of this point. But I have somewhere to be. I can let you guys figure out the appointment for the next one. Barry, you can do an excellent job during the next speaker election, but
It's only gonna be about 20 minutes. So, thank you though.
Bye, Dave.
Thank you again. All right, so these are them. Just so you know, when the meeting ends, this is how we're going to handle it. So with that, we'll continue now with discussion items. There were none on the docket. Tyler.
Okay, so, yeah, for those who are not aware, once we go into the next meeting, I won't technically be a senator, so I figured I could at least ask for discussion in this, but I will still be the Constitution and Bylaws Committee head, which is why I wanted to ask for discussion before we went over. So, how does the Senate want to move forward on defining what an RSO should be, or whether we should just get rid of the concept of being an RSO since it doesn't really have any benefits? Because if the Senate doesn't have any recommendations, then the Constitution and Bylaws Committee is just going to do whatever the hell it wants, and then it'll get turned down by the Senate, and then nothing will ever happen.
So just to clarify before we do enter discussion on this, Tom is very passionate about the subject. It is a discussion point that we need to have. Although he won't be a senator next year, as a member of the Constitution and Bylaws Committee, you are invited and allowed to attend the summer retreat. So this is an item of discussion that we can bring up during the summer if you like, but the discussion item is open now. If you guys don't want to humor it, you can open another discussion item, or I'll entertain a motion to close. Mark.
I was just gonna say, I think we should say this.
All right, so just so you know, you are allowed to invite the company.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's totally okay.
A little bit more.
What? You really? One short? Last year we had people go just because we felt like it.
If he needs my house,
I mean, my committee is the only committee that is allowed to have non-senator chairs, so.
or
Yeah, all the standing committees require senators, except for Constitution and Bylaws.
Mark.
So, sorry, Steve Thundershaw, the motion to end the 100th session of the Senate.
Second. All those in favor of closing the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. The meeting is now closed. I'm going to take a minute recess. If you guys have to go to the bathroom, go real quick. If you're no longer a senator, your name's on this board, please move to the back rows. If you are an elected senator, I ask that you move to the front 2 rows. He's not here. No,
Great, I'll see him. Oh, I'll call you.
All right, guys, just those that were here as guests, you're free to go now. Just keep communication. That's
I mean, I really don't want to do it.
it. Don't do it. You don't like it. I would like
Yes, he does.
That's why I got that. It's the same way a lot of
Senator
Italian.
Yo, is there anybody sitting to your right?
Yeah, so technically Tuesday is very
Are they in order? Yes.
Oh, they're
You don't get to ask that. As soon as she said it, I was like, I got your beautiful fingers right now.
For how much advertising? I'm sure I got like 6 votes.
I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting. All right. I'd just like to clarify that because I am no longer senator and my speaker term is technically up, I'm serving as speaker at permission of the cabinet to chair the meeting. I said it myself. Okay, continue. Well, seeing that committee reports have already been stated, we'll skip that and do a regular forum. We'll continue this special meeting just for the election of speaker for the 101st Senate. With that, I'll entertain a motion to elect the speaker of the Senate. Do we have a second? Second. With discussion on that, I would like to first verify the attendance of the candidates. Matthew Hunt?
Yes, sir.
Tyler Romeo? Here. Sarah Savoya? Not present. Is anybody here with have a statement provided by her for her election? To who? Cabinet. Do we have a statement provided for her?
And then she emailed the SGA list. If you got it, then it's the SGA list.
Well, you guys are on that too.
Never mind. She didn't send it.
All right, guys. This is ad hoc Barry speaker, so I'm gonna be rough as hell. All right. So we do not have a statement. Clarification: there is no statement. Okay. Continue then with the agenda. Mark Scalzo, present. Michael Cahill.
Present.
And Eddie Watt has provided notification of his, he will not be accepting the nomination. So this is the election as it stands. Matt, Tyler, Mark, Mike, and Sarah. So there is no statement for Sarah, just to go on record one more time, none provided. Because she has not resigned, you are allowed to vote for her during the voting procedure. All right, so seeing that, the way we'll proceed is like we do when we fill an empty Senate seat. We'll allow them to speak. I will be doing it by, I guess, I kind of want to do alphabetical order by last name, but then again, I also want to go by order on the list. What? You want to do alphabetical by last name or in order of the nominations? So we're going to do it in order of the list. Guys, come on, keep it together. good order list. Technically, and this is something that we didn't do when I ran for speaker, if you're an active senator, you're allowed to vote. I got to vote, but if you're an elected senator, so those up here that are senators, you get to vote. I mean, last year, no, never mind.
We did it, we let people vote.
Yeah, we let me vote, but I wasn't allowed to see the other speeches. We're going to continue with that order, though. So you won't be allowed to sit here for the other speeches. Although you should be allowed to, because you are a senator, and there is a little unfairness in that you would be able to see your competitor speeches. So if there's no objection from the Senate, they will be, those seating senators will have to abstain from the speech portion and discussion portion of the election. Is there any objection from the Senate on that matter? Sean, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm saying if they're not here to see the other speeches or hear the discussion, they wouldn't be making an educated decision.
The assumption is that they would just vote for themselves anyway.
Because they think they're doing the best job.
Because they think that they would do the best job. That's what we've done in the past. Tyler, I apologize, but because we're in doing regular form, I cannot allow non-senators to speak. With that, we'll continue and start this.
Leave to Tyler.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, so the main reason is that, it's part of common parliamentary law that one of the fundamental rights of a member of an organization is the right to vote. So even if they're present for the discussion, they still have that right to vote.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, I would like to ask all the candidates to leave the room. We'll begin with Matthew Hunt's speech. Mike, do you have an issue?
I just want to decline my nomination.
You're going to decline nomination?
I'm declining,
Okay. That's on record. He doesn't need to be approved. We went through a bunch of bullshit last year with that, but it doesn't need to be approved. So, camera's on. All right, I don't care. All right, so first we'll allow Matt to speak. Matt, I'll cut you off in around 5 minutes, and then there'll be a Q&A, and then we can discuss after he's left the room. Sean.
I'm going to limit question, answer, response period attendance.
You're going to go 10 minutes?
No,
In case it runs long.
That's fine.
So we're not here for a long time.
With discretion as speaker, I'll limit discussion to that. So
Okay.
no need for a motion. All right, Matt, I'll let you begin when you're ready.
Okay. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, there's like 2 of you. I'm Matt Hunt. I've been a senator since the first time I could freshman year. So this is, I guess, 2 years now I've been a senator. What I can do well as speaker, I think I can voice my opinion pretty well. Seeing in Senate meetings, I always know where we are in conversation, where we are as far as the parliamentary side of it. I think I can act as an unbiased voice to the cabinet and anybody else outside the Senate. That's kind of the biggest responsibility, is to be the voice of the entire Senate, not just one senator. So even if I disagree with the way the Senate is talking about something, I can voice that well to the cabinet and whoever else might need that opinion. I think I can communicate well with whoever the parliamentarian is going to be, because it's going to be essential. We saw what happened with Barry, and his performance peaked when he got a real parliamentarian that did well. So I think I can communicate with him well. I think you run Senate meetings very efficiently. I've helped run Alpha Sig meetings, which is really the opposite organization of this. It's just hectic and crazy. And then I've also been a part of APO meetings, which is very much Robert's rules. So I've seen both ends of it and how to kind of keep a room in that middle ground, ideally. Some things that Barry did well that I want to continue to do. The tone of these meetings, so it's not super strict. We're not sitting here banging the gavel every 10 minutes because we're all here on a Sunday night. But it is very organized. We are on camera, and we can the whole student body can see these meetings and come to them. So we do have to be organized. So I like where he was at with the tone of the meetings. Another thing that he did very well was communication with the alumni and the faculty. I'd like to keep that going. We talked about it today, and he said for whoever's going to win that he would transfer over those contact points. I would like to work with Matt and Vinny and whoever else for the SFA and really get going on the alumni and be communicating with them as far as our events, so they know, because they'd like to see more out of us. So I'd definitely like to open up that gateway. And the oversight committee is something else he did phenomenally well. He kind of picked it back up in the second semester. There might be some changes to it as far as meeting attendance that I'd like to see and like to enforce. So that's something he did well, was watching attendance and impeaching them, or putting them up for impeachment when need be. Some things I'd like to do a little differently. Cabinet Senate relations. So everybody talks about how that needs to improve, and we've never really seen much done. But a lot of what I like to see is more communication of what the cabinet does in their cabinet meetings and their meetings of student life to the Senate, because I know personally as a senator, I didn't know much of what happened behind that door, not because of, not for like trying, but like, I would like to know more openly from the speaker what happens, what decisions the cabinet is making. So I'd like to do that differently. And I'd like to really push the subcommittee heads, kind of the grassroots backwards to see, for me to get on top of the subcommittee heads as far as budgeting, specifically with the whole budgeting fiasco that happened this year. A lot of the fault, not the fault, but a lot of the way that, the reason that went the way it did was because the subcommittee heads weren't there to be present and supporting their club. So I'd like to really get on top of the subcommittee heads and be better off in that sense financially. And that's about it. Any questions?
So now we'll continue with question and answer. At my discretion, I will end it early or end it at a reasonable time. So questions from the Senate for John. Matt, I'm sorry. Questions from the Senate. Questions from the Senate? Katie.
What's your familiarity with Robert's rules?
I'm pretty familiar with them. We follow them pretty strictly for honor board, and APO follows them very strictly in meeting structure. So I'm pretty familiar with how they run. I've watched Varian run meetings well, so as far as meeting structure, I understand them really well.
Continued questions for Matt. Any questions from the Senate? Questions from the Senate? Chucky.
I know you're involved with a lot of other things on campus. I'm just wondering where this would fall in your priority, and if something else came up, would you drop this for something else?
To be a little frank, I've always found that to be a bit of a silly question, because I don't think it matters where on my priority list it lies, because if I can be here and I can commit to it and I can do it well, it doesn't matter. That being said, it falls high. I have a lot of responsibility in other organizations. I'm the treasurer for FSA, and that's a lot of money going out of my name. I'm on the honor board, and that's a huge responsibility as far as like students' well-being. So I have a lot of responsibilities there, and I would have a lot here if I were to be elected. If something were to come up, I've got a more prevalent and important position here than I do there. And a lot of times, almost always actually, things there can be shifted around, so I'd be here.
Continue questions for Matt. Continue questions for Matt? None? All right, so we'll close his speech portion. Matt, if you could please send Tyler into the room.
Of course.
All right. So we'll have one discussion period for all candidates, okay? Just so you guys are aware. But please take notes, write down your discussion points now. Make sure you let them, don't forget them, bring them up. All right. Tyler, you have 5 minutes. The floor is yours when you're ready.
Okay. Hi, everybody. You should all know who I am by now. I'm Tyler. Maybe some new senators don't know who I am. I've been on the Senate for how long? A couple semesters now. I always love spending a lot of time on the SGA stuff. I feel like the things that we do here are really important. Unfortunately, I did not get enough nominations to become a senator for this year, so I won't be on the Senate. However, I still do want to participate on SGA activities. I feel like speaker is one of the major ways that I can contribute to the SGA. I have a very extensive knowledge of Robert's rules and how to run meetings for deliberative organizations. I feel like I could very much help, and I don't think I can follow up in Barry's shoes, but at the very least I could try my best in helping you guys achieve what you need to achieve. As the speaker and as not a senator, I would be fulfilling a very different position as I was on the Senate, mainly because the speaker, especially as a non-senator, should be completely unbiased. So I would not be able to participate in discussion. My main job would just be to facilitate your discussion, facilitate what the Senate wants to do, and try and make sure that everything is as orderly as it can be in accordance with our bylaws and Robert's rules. So yeah, that's just my position on it. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask me?
We'll continue now. A question. Sean?
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to change, anything you'd like to change to improve relations between the Senate and the Cabinet?
Between the Senate and the Cabinet?
Seeing as the speaker is kind of the bridge between the two.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like our relations are pretty good right now. I'd have to familiarize myself more with. I feel like I don't have that much of a knowledge of what the cabinet does. I know you guys do, but I don't know how you do it or what the inner workings are. So I feel like if I could familiarize both myself and the Senate with what goes on, that would help things as well. And I guess another point that actually, no, never mind.
Continued questions. Are there any other senators who have questions for Tyler? Continued questions.
Yes.
What other commitments do you have on campus? What kind of priority would they have in relation to potentially being Speaker of the Senate?
Yeah, I have a lot of commitments on campus. I fulfill the priorities of my commitments within their requirements, meaning the requirements of the commitment determines its priority. In this case, as Speaker of the Senate, I'm not allowed to miss more than 2 meetings, so that obviously push it to really high priority. I would not miss more than 2 meetings. My other commitments on campus are, as you know, I do SITTV, general manager SITTV. I work a lot with the honor board, so that's also a commitment. I do investigations and stuff. I write a column for the Student, but I'm just a general member of that, and I'm also involved in Anime Club.
Continued questions for Tyler from the Senate. Seeing no further questions, we will end Tyler's speech portion of the election. Thank you. Tyler, Mark, at your will or readiness, you can begin your 5-minute speech.
All right, everybody, very simply, I'm going to decide why I want to run for Speaker of the Senate, and then secondly, my qualifications for running for Speaker of the Senate. So why? Those of you that are older, you just let me know, pretty much since I've come to Stevens, my 2 main priorities have been the SGA first and then Sigma Nu second. I became a senator right away, got very involved, ran for vice president, really enjoyed that. Obviously, that's why I came back to the Senate right away. Always talked about it with the whole cabinet. They're like, oh, you're going to come from cabinet to Senate. And I was really, really enthusiastic. I wanted to go back to the Senate, wanted to continue to make positive change. And that's really the reason why. Got involved in SGA right away. I see it as the largest organization, the easiest way to make big changes, lasting changes here on campus. And so that's why I went back as a senator. Wanted to get involved in the committee still. I headed the tailgate committee for this semester. And then beyond that, the only other real serious obligation I've continued with here at Stevens is Sigma Nu. All my other ones I kind of got involved with freshman, sophomore year, but have dropped off. Really focus on those 2. And I think running for Speaker of the Senate is a natural continuation of that. I look at the Speaker of the Senate role. A lot of different responsibilities for it. Having been both a senator and a cabinet member under the past 2 Speakers of the Senate, so I've seen both Owen and Barry on both sides of the aisle here. I really learned a lot from both of them. I think Owen had some really, really good traits in the sense of working with other organizations on campus. That's the way I view the Speaker of the Senate role, kind of like the representation of the Senate, not just to the cabinet, but also to the entire campus. And I really think that I make a good face, or a good person to be that representation. I really want to work a lot with, the Alumni Association, stuff like that. Representing the Senate and trying to do what I can in my role on the SGA. But also from Barry's side, I've seen a lot of, we'll talk about it. Obviously, I'm a pretty vocal senator. I think Barry's somewhat similar when he was a senator, but kind of going to that next level, that next role, and embracing that responsibility to be a more kind of tempered opinion, more unbiased, with leading the discussion and everything like that. It really rises to that role. I think Barry's done a wonderful job of that, and I kind of use that as my inspiration for how to run as how to operate as a Speaker of the Senate. So those are two main things I think that I've learned from both of them, and I think that's what would make me, getting my qualifications, what would make me a really good speaker is by having seen them, worked with them on the cabinet, kind of the way they represented you guys, the Senate, to them. I think I'd be able to do a good job of that. And then also on the flip side, being a senator and understanding how you guys need to interact with the speaker, I really think that I have a good, kind of I'd be able to put myself in you guys' shoes, basically. So that's it for my speech.
Seeing that, we'll continue now. Questions? Are there any questions from the active senators for Mark? Questions from the active senators for Mark?
Yeah,
Vinny?
so you mentioned one of the things that you wanted to try to improve, like alumni relations almost, and I thought that was a pretty good idea. Have you had like any other ideas as far as what you would change around here, or what something you would improve upon, add upon, maybe get rid of?
I always have a lot of ideas on what to change around here, but not particularly. I know a lot of what Owen and both Barry and Owen did was working with the student faculty alliance, so usually the counterpart of alumni is also working with the faculty. So I don't necessarily say to change, but it's more to kind of represent the students in those. I know that's when I was vice president, worked a lot with the IT department about the virtual desktop program we're implementing very soon. Just that, kind of things like that, like being involved in a lot of the big organizational changes here at Stevens. That like Ashton Clark again really helped me a lot with connections with kind of like different committees that do hiring or just kind of getting students' input on the different things that the school is working on, and just kind of already having those connections there, continue to foster those connections. SGA has come a long way. Some of you, I guess Jordan would be one, kind of know that the SGA used to not have a very bad reputation, and it's come a long way. So just kind of keeping on that path of representing us well, making us look good because we do a lot of good stuff.
Continued. Any further questions for Mark? Any further questions for Mark? Seeing no questions, we'll finish Mark's speech portion. At this point in time, because there was no resignation provided or decline provided by Sarah, are there any statements provided by Sarah? Final request. No statement provided. Clarification from Cabinet. Seeing no clarification from the Cabinet on a statement, we'll move now to discussion on the nominations. Because Sarah's motion was not rescinded or declined in any way, you can still vote for her if you'd like. Otherwise, we'll begin discussion. I ask that you do not vote. We do have ballots provided, so we'll only be accepting responses on the ballots that we hand out. We'll now enter discussion on this. So would anybody like to speak? Well, so front of the room, please. That's fine. Right there is fine. Then right there is fine. So I would like to announce that the Speaker of the 101st Senate, the third Speaker ever of the Stevens SGA, will be Matt Hunt. So with that, as my speaker term is now ended, I will hand the gavel to Matt, and he will close the meeting.
Kristen, you'll be appointing a parliamentarian before the fall semester?
Sally, you want to be parliamentarian? Okay. Parliamentarian.
So Chuck, then John, and
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Yeah.